Welcome to Wealth Strategies Unleashed with Concenture Wealth Management. I'm Robert Gilliland.
And I'm Mike Alexander.
Hope that this finds you. Everyone doing fantastic. We're right now in the middle. We've started 2024. We're moving right along. What I thought we would do, Mike, maybe have a little bit of fun, is we're going to play which one's better or kind of challenge each other a little bit. And that is, I really want us to give people one thing that they can do every single month that's going to make 2024 their best year financially, and they're going to be able to not worry and be in great shape. And so, since I'm making the rules of the game, I'm going to start.
I get to go first?
I get to go first.
Oh.
And this would be in month one. Month one is that I think you've got to sit down and set clear goals. You got to understand where you're going to get, where you want to get to in order to ensure that you're going to get to where you want to go. And so that means sitting down and evaluating, where do you want to be net worth wise? Where do you want to be cash flow wise? Where do you want to be in investments? What do you need to do? Because then you can go through and develop the plan as how to get there. So I would say in month one, set clear goals for the year.
Now, Robert, I really love that, but a lot of people have a lot of goals. And so without running the risk of interfering with people's New Year's resolutions, I'm going to keep it really simple and say, how about just creating a budget? In many cases, people know what their salary is going to be. They kind of know what they're going to earn. If they're getting a bonus from the previous year, they kind of know what that looks like. How about just creating a budget that they can stick to for an entire year?
Okay, so in month one, set goals. Month two, set a budget. And you may be able to cheat a little bit and do them both at the same time. So then in month three, one of the things that I would be doing, because you'll be through the holidays, hopefully you didn't overspend, but in the event you did, I think it makes a tremendous amount of sense that in month three is to develop and walk through a debt repayment program. Set a strategy for paying down debt. That's credit cards. That's all that variable credit that's out there that's costing you probably a lot more than what you realize. Develop a strategy to get your debt under control, because that's going to end up helping out your cash flow. The strategy we tell people all the time, if they've got multiple credit cards and they have debt on that, pay off the one that has the highest interest rate first. Then pay off what you would pay there and pay off the next one. Then take that and pay off the next one, and just continue to kind of snowball that. There's another strategy that the one that you can do is that the one with the least amount of debt on it, right? Pay that one off. Then take those two, then add what you used to pay there and pay that on the next highest debt limit. And then take all those and pay down on the third highest debt limit. Given where interest rates are after 2023, I think it really makes sense to pay attention to what the interest rates are and getting those paid down. So I would say in month three, assess and develop a repayment plan on your debt.
So I love that, Robert. And just something that if it's okay if I piggyback on that for the month, because I do think this is something that's relevant.
Hold on, are you talking about adding this to month three, or is this month four?
I'm saying add it to month three. I'm saying I think we can get, how about a credit report? I mean, you're just now coming out of the holidays. You get one annual free credit report that you can get from the credit rating agencies. I think it makes a lot of sense while you're assessing and thinking about debt. Maybe go ahead and grab one of those credit reports and just make sure that that everything is on there is accurate. I think after the holidays perhaps makes the best sense.
That's very, very, very fair, because the other thing is from a cybersecurity standpoint, that's a good way to check to make sure that what's on your report is actually yours. All right. You don't get credit. You get a star, but you don't get credit for picking the fourth one. What would be month four for you?
Yeah. So for month four, it's usually, obviously month four is April. And so it's tax time. What better time to make sure that your savings are automated and that you're maximizing all of your contributions to retirement plans, whether it's a 401k, a Roth, an IRA, and making sure that you've made those catch-up contributions. What about making sure that that's done by month 4?
I like that because it still gives you plenty of time to finish the year strong and going through and doing that. So what I would say in month 5, and by the way, you can do these in any sort of order. We're just kind of trying to have a little bit of fun here. I think month 5 is to assess, and if you haven't already, establish an emergency fund. Get an emergency fund and get that funded. It is clients that we work with feel so much better if the air conditioning goes out and they have to replace the air conditioner because we're in Texas and air conditioners always go out, that the money is there. That doesn't make them feel any better about it, but it makes them feel better that and more comfortable to be able to go to if they have the money that's off on the side. So setting up that emergency fund. Now, a lot of people have a different number, and I always go and say that depends on what's important to you. And I like to assess what's my job security. Do I run a risk of losing my job? What's my cash flow situation? And if all of a sudden something happened, where do I have access to funds and what's my lifestyle? As a general rule of thumb, you want 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses in an emergency fund. So I think for month 5, you want to pay attention to hitting your making sure you have an emergency fund and assessing to make sure that it has the most that's in there or it's adequately funded. All right, Mike.
Right
at halfway through. What's next?
So it's June, right? What better time than June to check in and do a quick insurance review, just making sure that, one, that you've got adequate coverage for, health, auto, home insurance. Make sure you're not, paying too much. Make sure that, again, that you've got that adequate coverage for those items. A lot of times they're coming up for renewal, since some of them may only run, 6 months at a time, for example. So maybe that's a great time to think about it as you head into the summer.
Very good. So I would say number 7, this is becoming more challenging because 1, I got to remember what you said, but then 2, I got to be unique. You're in 7. You just have completed half of these months. One thing that I would do is that I would sit down with a financial professional. I would have that as a time to go through to review the performance, review your goals, review your allocation. That's the time to kind of check in and check the score. It doesn't have to be long and drawn out, but I think that getting professional advice inside of there makes sense. And that kind of flows through from your insurance, but it's new and unique. So I get credit for it.
I'm going to give you credit on that one, Robert. And I think, another reason for that is that, I think we all like to kind of think about, our finances on an annual basis. And you always think, okay, I'm going to get to this in December or January. And then those months just become so busy. Why not take the middle part of the year to do that? So I just think it's a great idea. It doesn't really, as you said, it doesn't really matter what month that you do it, but a mid-year review kind of gives you a pretty good sense of how the year is progressing and whether or not you're staying on plan. So I almost gave you extra credit for naming that one,
which I deserve.
In the middle of the year. So it's July, and it's.
Oh, you're in August. I took care of July.
Oh, that's right, you did. Thanks a lot. See how fast we're moving. So it's August. Kids are getting ready to go back to school. You're nearing the end of summer. What a great time to kind of sit back because you're ahead of the holidays. Maybe think about some of these bills and things that can be negotiated or that you can actually get rid of. I think you've said this in other podcasts where you've got the subscriptions, and obviously businesses love those because people tend not to get rid of them. But what a great time to go back and think, am I really using the Disney Plus on a monthly basis, or am I going to the gym every single month and spending that making the most of that $200 a month that I'm spending on a gym membership, what a great time to kind of sit back and think of those things and whether or not they're actually being utilized, and perhaps clear the deck of those that are not.
I think that's excellent. That's exactly right. You do need to do that on a regular basis. Now we're in month 9. If we stay traditional, that's where we'd be going back to school, right? So one of the things that I think you should do for 1 month or start a process in a month is educate yourself. Whether that's listening to fantastic podcasts like Wealth Strategies Unleashed, or whether that is reading a book or listening to a webinar, you need to be educated to understand what's happening in the market so that you can. And a lot of times what I find is that when clients get educated, they end up reassessing which route they actually end up going, or they get confirmation. So I think that for the 9th month, one of the things I would be looking at would be to look to take on some form of investor education inside there.
Great idea.
10, it's up to you.
So in the month of October, I tend to start thinking of October as being a really good tax planning month. And the primary reason for that is just kind of knowing where you are from a tax perspective. Gives you a sense as to what you need to prepare for in the last 2 months of the year. So a lot of times people will do a lot of their tax loss harvesting or tax gain harvesting and offsetting of those. They'll do in the last couple of the months of the year. So beginning to think about that in October and kind of creating your list or your to-do list of things can really make a lot of sense. Obviously, there's holidays mixed in there as well. And so it's just a really good time to be thinking about those things.
That is exactly right. Starting in that fourth quarter, evaluating your capital gains, giving you time to make smart decisions, because return of your capital is very, very, very important. Net return, net after taxes, is vitally important, and making sure that you're managing that tax efficiently is vitally important. I would say month 11, if we're thinking about this in a traditional calendar, that's Thanksgiving. That's time where families get together. That's where you see grandma, you see your cousins, you see all these different people, you see your family. And I think that what that kind of makes me go through to think about is that the 11th month would be a month that I would be going back and assessing my estate plan, making sure that nothing significantly has changed, making sure that my will has the right person to be the executor, making sure my retirement plans have the right beneficiaries on them, making sure that if something tragically were to happen, your wishes are carried out.
That's an awesome one. And what a great time to do it when you actually have family members that are around and you start thinking about, giving gratitude and thinking about those things.
One thing real quick, one thing I just got to say, I think you have to be careful about that. You want to do it before everyone gets together, not after, because you don't want Cousin Eddie showing up and then you end up making an emotional decision there. So that's all.
Always a good idea. Always a good idea, Robert. Here's what I'm going to go, during the last month of the year, obviously, what a great time to reflect on the year and kind of reassess where you are. You've tackled a lot of things in the first 11 months, and you're certainly preparing to, again, restart the process when January rolls around. And if you find something that works for you, I mean, it's really, it really gives you a really good, good idea and in terms of being able to do it over and over again. So it's a repeatable process, but just think about, December as being that time to kind of reflect on the year. Did I accomplish all of those things that I was looking to accomplish? And if I liked it, I liked the process, then I can prepare and restart the entire process again the following year in January. And the good news there, Robert, is that this is something that becomes easier to do over time. So, 2024 might be the hardest year of doing it, but after you've done something for a little while, you just get that muscle memory and it just becomes a lot easier for you to do it going forward.
I agree. Sitting down, reviewing and reassessing, right? Where are you? That makes a tremendous amount of sense. There's tons of opportunities. You might find, and I'm bringing this up because we're talking about the 12th month actually being December, but you can do them in any order. But you might find that it may make a lot of financial sense to do donations or move your donations to January of next year or different things like that to help make a difference, making sure you have your, did I fund my IRA? Did I fund my Roth? Should I be doing a Roth? There's a lot of things that you can do, and sitting down and reviewing and assessing and reassessing where you are makes a tremendous amount of sense. Well, Mike, I think I won the contest.
I was gonna be gracious and say we tied 6 months to 6 months, but hey,
Yeah, well,
thoughts.
it was a thank you. I think we gave people some really good things to think about. The point that I would make to everyone is that you don't have to tackle all of these at once. Do one every single month. We gave you 12 great ideas that will make a big difference, and it's real simple. Just put it at the top on January on the first of every month, and make that kind of the goal for the month. And what will happen will be amazing. The outcomes that you'll end up having. I want to say thank you for listening to this week's podcast. We look forward to seeing you next week, and I hope you have a fantastic week.
See you next time.